Hi everybody, welcome back to Majestic Collectibles. This is podcast number 7. It's March 1st, 2023. Weather is, well, it's not raining, it's not snowing, it's not warm, it's not cold. So it's pretty much March in central Iowa. Sun's out at least, so happy about that. Today's topic, why does everyone hate resellers? And I've been thinking about this a long time. This was actually originally going to be my lead-off podcast topic, the first one I ever did, and I thought, I don't know. I don't know how this is going to go. I don't think it's going to be too controversial, but I guess I'll find out. If you guys get a chance, please click like, hit subscribe. You know, it's kind of fun to know somebody's out there watching, or in this case, listening about that. And this hating resellers thing, I gotta tell you, it's been around a long time. So this isn't anything new. I think just with social media and things like that, people are, you just have more access to points of view and incidences and things like that. But it's not really anything new. I've been doing this for over 30 years. And I got to tell you, I haven't seen the level of animosity increase, okay, like in the last few years or recently or really at all. It's been pretty steady, and it always seems to be the same folks that are going to hate you no matter what. If you handed out gold bars, they would still hate you for, being a reseller, and not much you're going to do about that. But I do think there's a couple of reasons for this, hating or being upset or disliking resellers. And one part of it is misconceptions on the part of a lot of these folks about what a reseller is or does. And the other part, I'm going to lead off with this one, the second part, is reseller behavior. And I have to tell you, again, thanks to social media, I don't think there's any more bad resellers out there, or bad dealers. I think that has also stayed pretty much the same. There's always some real bad apples in the mix. It's just now they have an absolute, light speed connection to the world to show everybody. So I don't see it getting or being worse that way, but unfortunately that's what gets the press, and there's no excuse, okay, for bad behavior. I don't want anybody to think I am at all apologizing for bad behavior, because I cannot stand any type of reseller or dealer, full-time, part-time, old, young, it doesn't really matter, because that reflects badly on my business, on me personally, and I've all the dealers and resellers, that really go out of their way to be ethical and moral and honest and helpful, and it just takes one person to train wreck that. And you see on YouTube or the news or wherever, and somebody's in a parking lot brawl with a cart of, what was that, Pokemon cards up in Wisconsin, or trading cards someplace, or at a thrift store somewhere. Those are the kind of people I do not consider professional anything. They're just total jerks, okay? They're in it for the quick buck. They're not going to be around long, because once the market crashes and they start getting stuck with product, it's over. And that's the kind of behavior I think people associate with everybody. And it's not fair. I got to tell you that right now. There is nothing fair about that, but that is what happens because of social media today. And there's no real hard answer for that, other than that, unfortunately, it's going to be up to dealers and resellers, the honest ones, to police themselves a little bit. You can't be associated with people like that. You can't be doing business with people like that. You can't be hobnobbing at shows with people like that, because invariably, these are the same type of people that go to a show and shoot their mouth off and start trash talking Oh, I got this deal, they didn't know what they had, or I went and cleaned out this aisle of whatever trading card, or whatever it is, and then they stand around at a show or a convention, or even talk smack on some of the forums and online about how much money they're going to make, and how clever they are, and how bad they rip somebody off. And holy cow, guys, that really should not be tolerated by anybody that's an honest reseller or dealer. That's something that just needs to not be promoted, should not be allowed on the forums, should not be talked about at shows. It's just no good. It's not helpful to anybody. And you got to understand, I've been doing this over 35 years. I am all for anybody making a good deal, all right, and making money on it. That is what I'm in business for. That's what a lot of us are in business for. But you can't get the reputation of ripping people off. If I did that here locally in central Iowa, well, anywhere, but my home base, is central Iowa, boy, it'd take about 10 seconds to get around what a lousy crook and stuff I was. And then there's my business. My business goes right out the window. So you really, can't get away with it, is what I'm saying. And bragging about poor behavior and trash talking about it, oh my gosh, talk about adding fuel to that fire. And that just gives this big, bad misperception to a lot of folks on the outside looking in. We're just all painted with the same brush. And it's on us. There's nobody going to come to our rescue. There's nobody going to come and say, oh, no, you shouldn't do that. It's up to ourselves a little bit as resellers and dealers. And it's not just collectibles. It's really just good business sense. Retail, wholesale, side hustle, full-time. Just kind of, being above board is really super important in this business. And so a lot of people are seeing this stuff out there on social media, and how many videos or podcasts or news reports do you hear about somebody that went and helped somebody out? And there are some out there. Okay, I'm not saying they're not, but they're very infrequent, and they're almost always overshadowed by the bad stuff, which just seems to pop up on a near daily basis. And that's very frustrating on that. And that leads to a lot of people just hating on us. Our own behavior, we're shooting ourselves in the foot. And that's something, at the very least, you just got to self-police, I guess. You can't worry too much about others, but I don't think it's unfair to call it out if somebody's got bad behavior, or at least not hang around them. I don't, because I don't want to be associated with that. The number one thing is side hustle or full-time, doesn't matter. You need to act professional, responsible, like a grown-up kind of thing. I'm not saying you can't get excited or anything like that, because I still do. I look at collections, man, I get a buzz like you wouldn't believe. But you still, you have to be fair. And when people don't get treated fairly, or somebody's, talking behind their back, just a terrible look for dealers in general. So, be careful there. I don't know. Well, I go to shows, not a ton, but I go to shows, and every show there's some new dealer or newer dealer that's they're trash talking, and it just drives me up a wall. Most folks that have been in the business over 3-4 years, and that's about the lifespan. A lot of people get in, and 2, 3, 4 years later they're out. So those of us that have been doing it for, basically longer than 4 years have pretty much figured this out. But it's something worth pointing out that does bring down just a lot of animosity and questions and things like that from a lot of folks. And it just wrecks it for everybody. The whole market, the collector market, buying, selling. It just makes it a lot more miserable than it needs to be. So the first part, excuse me, and that's, not our behavior, but that was the misconceptions that other people have of resellers, and part of that is our behavior, the bad behavior anyway. But a lot of it's really interesting to me. There's a lot of moving parts, and I've been doing this a while, and there seem to be just a few kind of general, I don't know how to put it, just people got something stuck in their craw. But generally what I see when I'm asked to look at a collection or purchase a collection or whatever is, they're very wary, which makes sense. They got to be smart, about it. But it's almost like, they think of you as an attorney, whereas they hate all the attorneys until you really need one. And then all of a sudden, you're hoping to find one that's good and honest and doesn't charge too much and so on and so forth, and of course will win. And I think when people get to that reselling point where they have to resell, where there's just no choice in the matter, I think they look at resellers the same way. It's like, geez, now we got to call one of these guys, and I guess we better be nice, and stuff like that. And that's unfortunate. I can't blame them with all the stuff going on. But when you call a professional reseller of any type, they just seem to have this expectation where they're waiting for the other shoe to drop, or this anvil's going to fall out of the sky or something and wreck it, kind of deal. Something else I run into a lot, and this I don't understand. The first one, people just being wary and seeing all this crap in the news and being a little jittery makes a lot of sense. This one, though, I probably, gosh, I don't know percentage-wise on this. I would say probably 20 to 30% of the folks I talked to about buying collections kind of fall in this category. And they're going to hate you no matter what. I mean, if you paid them twice retail, what you could get out of it, I don't think it'd make any difference. And part of that, I understand, they kind of see us as vultures or scavengers or buzzards or ambulance chasers, or I don't know. It's just a very low opinion or image of resellers in general. And a lot of them, when I've been able to talk to them, because they usually don't get into conversations very easily. But if you can talk to them a little bit, one thing I have found out, and maybe you will too if this happens to you, is that there seems to be like maybe a feeling of inadequacy. Like, well, if I knew how to run a computer, or if I had internet access, or if I had an eBay account. And if they do get belligerent, I'm just, I'm like, hey, thanks. I don't think we're going to be able to, work something out or whatever. I don't argue with them. I think that's a bad deal all the way around, especially these days. If they're just trying to pick a fight, just say thank you and pass on it, kind of deal. But there seems to be a lot of angst over their lack of capability of knowing how to do it themselves. And these aren't what I would call dumb people. Okay, I would not consider them unintelligent or unable to sell things on Craigslist or Facebook Marketplace or eBay, or stick a garage sale ad up on a forum. They can certainly do that, but they don't seem to want to take the time to do it, because it does take time. And that's another misconception I think those same folks have, is they don't seem to think resellers have any specialized knowledge or bring anything to the table. They just see us as just picking up scraps. And that's really unfortunate. And I've been well, I've been called every name in the book, and that's going to happen. You just kind of get a thick skin after a while, whether you want to or not. You don't want to be that way, but a lot of people just, aren't going to listen or hear you out. But I do think that resellers, particularly those that have been in the business for just a handful of years or so, we do have specialized expertise. Our time is valuable, which is an interesting thing I do run into a lot. I mean, probably 90% of the collections, I can't tell you how many times somebody says, well, I'd sell it myself on eBay, but it just takes too much time. But they still want full market value for it. And it's like, well, my time is just as valuable as yours, if not more so. And I talked about that in the last podcast about valuing your time. And, that's tough when they have that, that attitude that you can just, take that home, flip it, and have your money back in a day or two. Because, boy, that doesn't work. That didn't happen at all. In fact, it's really the question is, and you don't say this, but, how much of this stuff are you going to throw away? If you've been reselling very long, you've run into this situation where somebody's vastly overestimated the value and condition of things. And a lot of people hate resellers just because they think, we all drive BMWs or something. I really don't know. That would just kind of baffle me. I don't know if, I just don't know where they're coming from. It's just really, really hard for me to understand where they're coming from and why they hate us. What's the defense against all this? If you're a reseller or a dealer or whatnot. And, I already mentioned one of them is just say, hey, thanks. I just don't think this is, for me or this is going to work. You don't want to get in a shouting match. You don't want to, you know what I'm saying? That's just no good. It's unprofessional, and let's face it, boy, you almost wonder anymore if it can't be a little dangerous the way some people get so upset about things. My advice is you talk to them like they are intelligent. People do not like to be talked down to, and if the appear to be, I guess, lower on the socioeconomic scale, go out of your way to treat them with respect, because they have spent their whole life probably somebody, telling them how worthless they are or how insignificant they are, or just treating them badly in general. So, honestly, showing respect to people, even if you're not interested, I think is very, very important. And, try and learn a little bit about them as a person. So did you collect this yourself? Is this something somebody else collected? And I tell you, you don't have to ask a lot of questions. And usually the story comes pouring out whether you want it or not. And those of you that have been doing this job for a while know exactly what I'm talking about. And that's not a bad thing. That's not a bad thing. It's a good icebreaker. And, what I try and do, and this does not work all the time, but I try it. And I try and, just explain to them the process from my side of the table or my side of the equation. But you have to be careful. You don't want to lean into like some mansplaining thing, right? Again, because you end up talking down to people. And if that happens, I don't know. You don't try to. Sometimes it comes off that way. That's unfortunate. But I've found that if you can get that ice broken and just say, here's what I'm looking at. And one of my only really reliable defenses that I've really found that works, I'm going to say 50% of the time, is when somebody brings something in and I already have a lot of it. And a lot of times I will take them over to whether it's comics or trading cards or action figures, whatever it is they've brought in. If I have some at the show where I'm at or the antique mall booth, wherever I'm at meeting them. And, I can show them something I have for sale already. And this is really useful to me because I can compare it side by side with their item, and then I can go over it. I says, well, what do you see different here? And usually condition's the big thing. Well, that one's a lot nice, a lot better condition or a lot nicer shape than mine. I said, yeah, and I said that makes a difference price-wise. And things like that. And you can kind of show them, if you're a dealer that sells stuff, that has your stuff graded and priced reasonably, you can show them that, hey, I'm not getting some huge markup or some huge profit off of this. And then I kind of go into a spiel and I just say, hey, you know what? It takes me just as much time to sort out this low grade stuff as the nicer stuff, but it's less money. And if I have to add, say, protection to it, bags, boards, sleeves, boxes, whatever, that adds to the cost of this already low cost item. And, like I said, it works maybe half the time. And when it doesn't work, I just kind of figure I'm out. They're not going to sell it to me unless I give them some really ridiculous, silly number. And I've had a few collections where, I've talked to somebody, even as long as 10, 12 years prior, and then their survivors come in and they found my name, or I'm the only one they know or whatever. And they just wouldn't sell it. They took it to the grave with them. Again, nothing wrong with that. But then what happens is when you get to that point, usually the folks that have to clean up afterwards, and I've been in that position. I've been in charge of 3 estates after relatives have passed away, so I've been on both sides of this. And, 9 times out of 10, they're just happy somebody's even talking to them. They're not even terribly concerned about the money. They want money. But they just don't want to deal with it because of the time and the expense, having it in the way. Maybe they're on a time schedule. They have to get things done to clear out a house or apartment, whatever the case is. And when it gets to that point, those folks, I don't know if really they love resellers or hate resellers, but they need a reseller. Just like when I talked earlier, if you need an attorney, at that point it doesn't really matter because they need to get rid of it. And I would rather deal with the original owner of the collection myself, just because I get to hear the stories, what they liked about it, why they collected it. It takes people back to their childhood or different times. And that's a lot of fun to hear those stories. And, of course, once they're gone, those stories generally go with them. So I would much rather buy from, the original owner collection. But more and more and more, that seems very, very hard to do. It just doesn't seem to turn up as much. And that's kind of it. It's a little bit of a shorter podcast, so I know that everybody's happy about that. If you got any thoughts on this, I kind of want to open it up to you a little bit. If there's something, some reason you see why people hate on resellers, let me know. I'll follow up on it. Leave something in the comments because I'm just kind of curious. If you're, it doesn't matter. You don't have to be a reseller or anything. You can be a collector or whatever. I'm just kind of curious to maybe gather some more opinions and thoughts and experiences on this. Because it's nothing new. It's nothing that's going away. And, it's just something we have to deal with as being part of the business. Last thing here, if you guys do have any other podcast topics, please let me know. I've got one next week. And Chad, that's yours. You're probably wondering why I haven't done that one yet, but I'm going to do it next week. I'm not going to tell you what it is. Chad knows. But after that, so for week 9, I don't have anything yet. So if there's something you want me to blabber about, let me know. Give me a shout, and thanks for listening.